Welcome gamers, Hazzador here, and today it's time to review For Honor. Now straight up, I'm just gonna say that this game did disappoint me. I didn't go into it with massive expectations, but I did still expect quite a lot from this game, since it was one of my most hyped games of 2017, but it fell flat on its face in many different aspects. First, let's quickly go over the story, because that was quite forgettable and definitely not the main reason why you should buy For Honor. In a story mission, you go through the 3 different factions, the samurai, the knights, and the vikings, and you have separate little sub-missions for each of these factions. And these story missions are ever so repetitive. Basically, with these sub-missions, you start as a different hero on each sub-mission, kill a few enemies, kill a few heroes, and then get a boss at the end. In between these events, sometimes there are little things, like for example, when you're playing as a viking, you had to climb a wall once, or ride a horse to take down a boss, little things like this. But for about 90% of the story mode, you're just killing normal enemies and sometimes bosses or heroes. It seems very repetitive and there was not much variety in these missions whatsoever. And another thing that keeps this story mode not flowing very well is the consistent cutscenes that are there almost all the time. The cutscenes are very well done, don't get me wrong, they look beautiful and they add to the story mode, but they really did cut up my gameplay, I feel. Just when I was getting used to a hero and really starting to enjoy the game, I arrived with a cutscene and then it put me on to a next sequence and it sort of ended my fun right there, if you know what I mean. The story itself as well is quite uninteresting. Most people are going to forget playing this campaign in like a month or so because it really isn't that memorable whatsoever. The amount of gameplay you can get from the story mode is about 6 to 7 hours as well, so it's really not much value for money. One thing the story mode does do well is introduce you to all the different heroes. I may even say that the story mode is just a fleshed out tutorial for the multiplayer. You get a good feel of all the different heroes and to see how they play. Another thing that I noticed was that the AI was really stupid in the campaign. I mean, in some situations I was standing there against 4 or 5 different enemies, I was taking on one of them and the rest of them were just watching me. They would just let their teammate die and then when I took him out, they took me on a one-on-one and everyone's just standing there surrounding me, not going for hits. It's not realistic at all and it just really made me feel like it was a really cheap way of making me feel like I'm doing really well. As for the bosses as well, they're basically just glorified heroes at the end of every submission that are just normal enemies with lots and lots of health. Moving on to the multiplayer, which of course is the main reason you're going to be buying this game, but it's still not something that I'd call amazing. Without a doubt, the thing that holds the multiplayer up is the combat. The combat really does feel like a proper medieval battle, and it really does create a very good atmosphere of wow, these hits are really going to hurt me, and my hits are really hurting my opposition. I really have to think tactically of how I'm going to take this guy out. The thing that I enjoyed most about the multiplayer was mastering all the different combos for each specific hero. In this sense, it's almost like a fighting game, using different combos to really take out your opposition and use the best moves in the game. Memorizing these and mastering these was so satisfying, and if you know how to do these pretty well, there's no doubt you've got a much better chance at beating your opposition than if you were just button mashing. The combat variety didn't disappoint me either. For example, you can parry, you can riposte, you can counter-attack, you can guard break, you can stun, so it's not just smashing swords at each other whatsoever. There are lots of different weapons like spears, swords, daggers, massive axes, battle axes, dual wield axes, and in those regards, I can't really fault the game. Now if you asked me where does this game excel, I'd say in one-on-one combat. When you're looking down at another soldier and you're like, right, I'm going to outsmart this guy and I'm going to bloody kill him. That is when it excels the most. And in 1v1 mode, of course, that happens all the time. It's very good, but there are other modes like 2v2 and 4v4 where moments like that are absolutely ruined. I can't tell you how many times I've looked down at an opposition, we're having a really good battle, and his friend just comes in from behind and shoves a sword in my back. Of course, that is realistic, that does happen in real life and stuff like this, but this is a video game, and my experience was really ruined by people absolutely ganking me, getting teams up 3-on-1, 2-on-1, and you haven't really got a choice but to just die. Another thing I enjoyed about the multiplayer was the massive skill gap that there was. At the start, of course, you can be good at the game at the start, but if you've mastered all the combos and you really know what you're doing, this game can be so enjoyable. If you come up against someone who's very good and knows what he's doing, your battles can last like 5 minutes long, really playing out like a game of chess. But despite what I've said about the multiplayer so far being good, there is one major thing that really did annoy a lot of people, including me, and that is the microtransactions in this game. It's clear that Ubisoft have their dirty hands all over this, and microtransactions are just scattered along the game. You could say it is a pay to win scenario because you pay real money for specific amounts of gear that can be the best in the game. Basically, you can spend real life money on a currency called steel, and with this you can open loot boxes where you can get specific amounts of armor, weapons and customizations in it that will allow you to progress your hero further. Another way you can get these things is of course playing through the gameplay, but it will take so long to unlock these things legitly that a lot of people do move towards buying it with real life money, and that really does create a pay to win scenario, which is awful for any game. However, I wouldn't say that the microtransactions ruin this game, but they definitely do not add anything positive to it whatsoever. The other point I'm going to make, which was an awful decision, is making this game online only. Not only because the campaign doesn't need to be online whatsoever, because the Ubisoft servers are really bad. They crash a lot, you get disconnected randomly, and making us stay connected all the time to this is such an awful decision. And overall, there definitely isn't enough content in this game. I feel it will die after a month or two, and that is a shame because it's a good game, but it's definitely not living up to my personal expectations. To give it a review score, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It's just about average, but there are a lot of things holding it back. If you want to pick this game up, definitely wait for a sale, or rent it off a friend or somewhere else, because it's definitely not worth buying day one. But anyway guys, thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe for more.